how to perform a pull-up that's built for endurance. I'm Phil Jessé and I've completed over 500,000 pull-ups in my lifetime. Let me tell you, I'm going to share with you hints, tips, knowledge and experience that I've accumulated over 10 years that I wish I knew somebody would have shared with me way back when. I've learned through so many different failures, and those failures have compounded into huge, audacious successes. So, the 50,000 pull-ups challenge in 2022, this public challenge was completed in 152 days, averaging 328 pull-ups a day. I then took that challenge and I turned it into 100,000 pull-ups in 2023, and I completed that challenge in 151 days, averaging 662 pull-ups a day. Now, throughout the whole process, I've accustomed myself to the grip, the width of the grip, the hip tilt, the breath work, the foot placement, all of these different component parts that go into making a pull-up that's built for endurance. And on a daily basis, I put myself through these pull-up challenges so I can keep practicing my skills. Well, today I'm going to share these processes with you. So, how to perform a pull-up that's built for endurance? Let's get started. Today I'm going to be using a Techno Gym pull-up bar for the demonstrations. This is the supinated grip, thumbs over, so the thumb is round the back of the bar there, gripping nice and tight. And this is the grip, slightly narrower, still keeping the thumb over the bar. And this is the supinated grip, thumbs under the bar, so you can visibly see the thumb there. And this is the same grip, but slightly narrower on the bar. So this is the neutral grip, thumbs under the bar. This is the neutral grip, thumbs over the bar. This is the pronated grip, thumbs under the bar, and this is a wide grip. This is pronated grip, thumbs under the bar, and this is just outside shoulder width, so this is more of a natural stance. This is pronated grip, thumbs over the bar. This is a wide grip. This is pronated grip, thumbs over the bar. This is slightly narrower. This is more of a natural grip, more of a natural stance, just outside shoulder width. Okay, I like to get a nice chalk boulder. So this is just powdered chalk, but when I get bags of powdered chalk, invariably there's always some nice chalk icebergs, as I like to call them, that are in there. It just makes it easy for that application process of putting the chalk on the hands. But listen, you may not find these delicious chalk icebergs in your chalk bag, so don't worry about that. The main point is that I like to get all of the chalk coverage where I consider to be the points where there's going to be moisture build up, there's going to be skin drag, and the chalk's going to help with that because it's going to provide that additional grip. So any moisture that's building up on the hands, which can definitely build up, particularly when I'm doing pull-ups that are for endurance, I need it to absorb all of that. So at the end of it, I just like to get rid of any excess chalk. What will actually happen with the chalk, the powder itself, is it'll start to find its way into the grooves in my skin, the natural patterner, which is exactly what I want it to do. Pronated grip, thumbs over the bar. This is the ultimate grip type for me. I've literally performed hundreds of thousands of pull-ups using this grip type, And the way I would describe it is, it's almost like a 4-finger pull-up where the thumb acts as a stabilizer. So if I need to adjust myself during the actual pull-up, the concentric or the eccentric part of the pull-up, then the thumb or the thumbs play an absolutely vital role. They enable me to make minor adjustments whilst I'm actually doing the pull-up. And this grip type for me, this is my pull-up grip type that is built for endurance. So the pronated grip, thumbs over the bar, this is absolutely my signature grip type. But it didn't start off like this for me. So back in January 2015, when I transitioned more into calisthenics and bodyweight training, I actually started with the supinated grip, and then I transitioned into the neutral grip. And then from that point, I went to the pronated grip. But initially it was the pronated grip, thumbs under the bar. But what I found is when I was going thumbs under the bar and I was gripping the bar, by gripping the bar, I was putting extra tension just here, just on the ligaments and the tendons at the side of the thumb, so squeezing real tight. And what I also found is by doing the pronated grip thumbs under the bar was that it was very restrictive. So my grip was firmly locked in tight, but I couldn't get much range of motion. And if I wanted to get slightly wider with the grip, come out ever so slightly, as I say, it put a bit more extra strain on the ligaments and tendons around the thumb for me. So it was a natural transition to take the thumb out and go thumbs over the bar. Then that felt like it was doing 4-finger pull-ups. But the thumb or the thumbs, they started to act as stabilizers. So I was able to make those minor adjustments during the actual pull-ups themselves. And it felt much more comfortable the wider that I went with my grip. And this is my signature grip type. So the pronated grip, thumbs over the bar, by far is my pull-up grip type that is built for endurance. Hand placement is so incredibly important. So my signature pull-up hand grip is pronated grip, thumbs over the bar. But each and every time, that grip is only as strong and it's only as effective as the hand placement that I make. Meaning, when I go to the pull-up bar, I like to place the hands on the bar. I don't like to jump on the bar and then use gravity to pull skin drag or potentially tear my calluses. I like to go to the pull-up bar, place the hands firmly on the bar, and then begin the pull-ups for endurance. Because if I have a training session on that day, and let's just say it's 500 pull-ups, if I don't pay attention to each and every single pull-up that I perform every time I step up to the bar, then what happens is I increase the risk of injury, the risk of skin drag, the risk of failure, and it can put a tremendous strain on the joints by jumping up at the bar. This is normally felt much later. You won't always feel it during the session, but you may feel it the day after or the day after that. So by ensuring that I perform pull-ups that are built for endurance, so I can train day after day after day, hand placement plays an integral part in the process. So as we can see demonstrating here, I'm showing you the different grip types that I've shown you today, such as the supinated grip, pronated grip, and the neutral grip. And you can change grip types up. So if you're feeling adventurous, you might think, okay, I'll go pronated grip, and then I'll also go supinated grip. Ultimately, your grip type is part of your process, it's part of your journey, but the hand placement is important. It's very important to get that strong core, and by getting the strong core, you're going to do a slight hip tilt. Imagine that you've got a piece of string that's going through your belly button and it's being pulled through the back and it's just tightening in your core. That will help you engage. So it's an ever so slight hip tilt. That little hip tilt will engage your core and it'll help your pull-ups for endurance. Avoid crossing your legs during pull-ups. By crossing your legs, what you're actually doing is you are tilting your spine. you are moving your posture out of alignment by crossing your right foot over your left leg or your left foot over your right leg. You are pushing down when you pull up, and this energy flow does not make sense because the top part is trying to pull you up and the bottom part, consciously or unconsciously, is pushing down. This will hinder your performance, so avoid crossed feet or crossed legs. What you should aim for is feet together or ever so slightly apart, and if you're using a weights belt, slightly further apart. Now in this pull-up performance here, what you can see is my feet are ever so slightly apart, which means that I can focus on the pull-up and the energy is flowing continuously through my body with a straight spine. Okay, breathing exercises are incredibly important. These are a big feature in my life, and I've got different types of breathing techniques for different situations. But I'm going to share with you today a very common breathing technique that features a lot during my pull-ups endurance training sessions, and that is the double 5 breathing technique. Now, the double 5 goes like this. So I look to fill my lungs full of oxygen over the process of 5 seconds. So I'll breathe in and I'll bring that air into the lungs and fill the lungs. And then once that process has taken place over 5 seconds, I'll then release the air and let the air go, breathe out over a process of 5 seconds. And then I repeat this cycle. So it's known as circular breathing. So in for 5, fill the lungs, out for 5, get rid of the air from the lungs, and repeat this process. And I will do this as often as I need to keep me focused, to keep my heart rate regulated, not too high, because ultimately what I don't want is to release too many hormones in the body that are going to impact my performance for endurance. For example, adrenaline. Adrenaline can be needed, but it can hinder my performance if it spikes too soon because I'm going for the distance. So I want to maintain a nice, steady, rhythmic heart rate with no spikes. So the circular breathing, the double breathing technique, is going to oxygenate my body. And I visualize that when I'm breathing in, I'm bringing positive energy into my body. And when I'm exhaling, I'm letting go. I'm letting go of the bad stuff, the toxins, whatever you want to call it, that goes. But I keep that rhythm, that flow, that circular breathing. So the double breathing, the double 5 breathing technique, this is my go-to. Pronated grip, thumbs over the bar. This is my signature pull-up. This is the pull-up that I've performed literally hundreds and thousands of. This is my go-to pull-up. So there's lots of emphasis on the concentric, the pull towards the bar, and then the eccentric, coming away from the bar, working with gravity. So the pull-ups, they look almost circular in motion, and that's because when I'm coming down from the bar, I want to work with gravity. I do not want to fall. I want to come down with style, with grace, seamlessly, so I'm able to keep that rhythmic flow for large numbers of pull-ups. It takes me approximately 1.25 seconds for the concentric pull-up and 1.25 seconds for the eccentric pull-up. All of the details matter. They enable me to perform large volumes of pull-ups over long periods of time. But there are some common pitfalls, things to watch out for. For example, when you are performing the pull-up, you must extend that full range of motion. This example that I'm going to show you right here, this is how not to perform a pull-up because I'm not fully extending in this demonstration. You must fully extend. Okay, so I'm just moving now into hanging bar. getting the hand placement where it needs to be, getting the feet together and reducing that swaying motion, and then hanging. Hanging bar is an excellent exercise. This is a solid foundation for the pull-ups. So with hanging bar, essentially this is time under tension. You are hanging from a bar and you want to ensure that your range of motion is almost non-existent. Any sway or any movement when doing hanging bar is going to use energy, and you want to conserve as much energy as you can do whilst performing this movement. So some techniques that I use, sometimes I will close my eyes and I will focus on my breathing. So the 5-5 breathing technique, breathe in for 5 seconds, fill the lungs full of air, breathe out for 5 seconds, and just focus on my breathing. By focusing on the breathing in that moment, it brings me into the present. It removes any of those distractions, those thoughts that are rushing through my mind. And with the eyes closed, I'm desensitizing myself. So I'm able to focus on that movement. Because when you're doing hanging bar, let's face it, it looks like it's quite a boring isometric hold movement. But what you're actually doing is you are strengthening your grip. You are moving into that realm of knowing what it feels like to hang on the bar, and your body's going to feel what it's like to grip tight. And this is good. This is good foundation, good solid foundation for building not only pull-ups, but pull-ups that are built for endurance. And by doing this hanging bar position, you are stretching your muscles, you are stretching your ligaments, your tendons, those underlying smaller muscle groups that help to build the pull-up for endurance. This is a solid exercise. Now I try and incorporate hanging bar in every single pull-up training session that I do. And this is a timing thing. So when you're on the bar, just have a stopwatch on your phone, on your wrist, whatever it may be, and just time yourself and say, right, hang for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, 60 seconds. Hang on the bar as long as you want to, but measure and manage your performance so you get a feel and the flavour for how long you can actually hang on the bar. But the purpose, the benefit to this foundational exercise is that it will help with grip strength and grip strength endurance. Scapular raises are a fundamentally foundational movement. This exercise plays a big part in every single training session. I think what you're looking at here is these are traditional scapular raises, so nice and slow, controlled, slowly shrugging the shoulders up towards your ears, almost as if you're trying to touch your shoulders to your ears, and it's slightly holding that bottom and that top position where possible and just squeezing the shoulder blades together. So scapular raises for me form one or two parts. The first part is the slow traditional, which you're watching right now, and then they move into more of the explosive scapular raises. Now, explosive scapular raises, I find that these are a great foundational exercise for endurance pull-ups. They really get the ligaments, the tendons, the smaller muscle groups all warmed up, as well as, of course, focusing on the scapular raises. But it's great for the shoulder, it's great for strengthening the neck, and it's great for improving posture. And if you feel confident and you want to do this, you can add weight to it also. Scapular raises, just like hanging bar, are an exceptional foundational exercise to incorporate with your pull-ups. Scapular raises will help strengthen the underlying tendons, the smaller muscles and the ligaments that will help you build your pull-up performance. So scapular raises for me have absolutely helped increase my pull-ups endurance. It's a movement that you can incorporate within your pull-ups training sessions. So you've got the hanging bars, that's a completely different exercise. That's an isometric hold. The scapular raises, that's completely different. So you've got movement there. You've got those straight arms. I almost like to imagine that the arms are almost in plaster casts. So there's no way that the elbows can bend. So all of the emphasis is coming from the scapula. It's almost feeling like it's coming right down at the bottom, right at the bottom part of your arms, just where your arms meet your upper body. And then you're pulling from your back, you're pulling from your scapula, as you can see in the videos. Now this is really important. By keeping the straight arms, there is no emphasis on the bicep, because the arms should not be in play during the scapular raises. It has to come from the upper back muscles, and it needs to be slow and controlled. Okay, so what you're looking at here is how to measure and manage pull-ups built for endurance using reps, sets, blocks and milestones. And I'm going to explain the process of exactly what that is, and I've got an example of how I've built out 1,000 pull-ups and how I actually got to that number by breaking it down into small component measurable parts. So first of all, I'll just zoom in on this top section, and I'll talk you through this so it makes sense. Okay, so I'm going to start here. So a repetition is the completion of a predefined movement. For example, a pull-up. So one pull-up equals one rep. A set is the completion of a predefined number of reps. For example, 5 pull-ups. So 5 pull-ups equals one set. A block is the completion of a predefined round number. For example, 100 pull-ups. So 100 pull-ups equals one block. And a milestone is the completion of a predefined goal or target. For example, one block equals one milestone. So I'm just going to zoom in on this part below. This is the example. Now, thinking about 1,000 pull-ups can be quite daunting. It's a large number to think of. What I like to do is break that process down. So there are lots of different successes along the way. And this is what it looks like. So each of these yellow cubes here represents one pull-up. So 1 pull-up, 2 pull-ups, 3 pull-ups, 4 pull-ups, 5 pull-ups. 5 pull-ups in a row there equals one set. We've got 20 rows here of 5 reps max. So 20 times 5 is 100. 100 pull-ups equals block 1. Once block 1 is complete, I've achieved milestone 1. So it's really important to celebrate milestones. Milestones let you know that you've achieved something and that you're a proportion of the way through the process. And of course, block 2 here is a repeat of block 1, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, we go all the way through until we reach milestone 10, which is the completion of 1,000 pull-ups. Now, I'm going to show you what this looks like, because when I go into my training sessions, I build all of my workouts on my phone. So it's really, really simple. And I don't use any apps other than free apps. So for example, this is me building out on Google Keep, but you could use Apple Notes as an example, but just use whatever you feel comfortable with. So this is something that I've built out on Google Keep, and this would be the start of me typing out the workout. So here we've got block 1. We've got the pull-ups, obviously that's the movement that I'm looking to perform. BW, that stands for body weight. 5 pull-ups, well that's the maximum that I'm looking to achieve in a set. So 5 pull-ups here represents one set, and there's 20 sets here, which means that I've achieved 100 pull-ups. So the target for block 1 was 100 pull-ups. I've achieved 100 pull-ups, and this is how it's broken down. Now I want to talk about the rest time on here. So rest for 30 seconds in between sets, very, very important. So I know that every time I've completed the 5 pull-ups, I rest for 30 seconds. Now, once I've completed that block, I reach milestone 1. And once I get to milestone 1, I rest for 60 seconds. And of course, block 2, block 3, block 4, block 5, block 6, block 7, block 8, block 9, block 10. So if I got to the point where I've completed block 10, that's 1,000 pull-ups. And that is how I build out my session. And that's what it looks like at a top level, going into the detail. Timing, this is a huge part. So I use a stopwatch on my phone when I'm measuring the rest time in between sets, blocks and milestones. So incredibly important. If I did not measure and manage my timing, how effectively would it be for me to say, right, I'm going to do a 100,000 pull-up challenge? Everything comes down to maths. It forms part of the plans and the process. So the number of pull-ups, the reps, the sets, the blocks, the milestones, and then the rest time, all of these things play a crucial part. I didn't used to measure the rest time. I just used to think, okay, I feel like now I could do some more pull-ups. That makes it incredibly difficult to be able to focus on pull-ups for endurance, because once you get that number up, you need to know that magic process, your own blueprint for you to get those pull-ups where they need to be. So in a training session, when I say, right, I want to do 500 pull-ups, I have a process for that. So I rest 30 seconds in between sets. I cap my reps at a certain number. Once I've achieved a block, I then rest for a different time period, say 60 seconds. All of the details matter. Timing is crucial for high performance endurance pull-ups. Continual performance improvement for me is something that is ongoing. So when I look at my pull-ups, I might say, right, okay, today I want to do 500 pull-ups body weight. Tomorrow I want to do 300 pull-ups, but I want to add a 5 kilogram weight to that. But on both training sessions, I want to keep the rest times exactly the same. So 30 seconds in between sets. And I can change this up on a daily basis. Continual performance improvement, generally speaking, I achieve this by either increasing the total number of pull-ups during a training session in the aggregate. So one day 300, the next day 500. Or I'd change something with the timing. I might decide to slightly increase or decrease the time in between sets, or I'll add additional weight to the pull-ups. So it's typically 3 ways that I look to continually improve my performance. Maintenance, this is probably one of the most, I would say, overlooked parts of training. And how I would describe it is, maintenance for me is actually showing up and doing that thing. So when it comes to pull-ups, let's just say, for example, I'm going to give an analogy. Okay, say a car is going down the motorway and it's doing 70 miles an hour, and you take the foot off the gas. What do you think will happen to that car over a process of time? The car will eventually come to a standstill because there's no foot on the gas. There's no momentum moving forward. Therefore, the car will eventually reduce down to 0 miles an hour. So how I see maintenance for pull-ups is this. If I performed pull-ups yesterday, okay, I have some idea of what that felt like, and it's quite recent since I've actually done the pull-ups. If I have an illness and I'm unable to train for, say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month, then that maintenance phase, I'm only as good as the last time that I actually performed those pull-ups. In my head, I can remember what that felt like, but the physiology side of it, the actual doing part of it, I'm going to know what that feels like when I get up to the bar to do it. So maintenance is so incredibly important. So I need to keep doing that thing that I want to keep doing, which is pull-ups endurance. So this isn't just for me going to the gym and say doing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 pull-ups, something like that. To maintain that level of endurance for me, I need to continuously show up and train large volumes of pull-ups on a regular basis. So for me, maintenance is showing up on a regular basis.